Did you know that some of the things you do in the name of love, things you believe are thoughtful, respectful, even selfless, might actually be the very things causing her to pull away? Not suddenly, not with fireworks, but quietly, subtly, until, one day, she just doesn't look at you the same anymore. And if you're a man over 50, you might already feel it. Maybe she doesn't laugh at your jokes like she used to. Maybe her touches feel more like habits than desire. Maybe conversations have gotten shallow, or worse, silent. You start asking yourself the questions we all try to avoid. Is it me? Did I do something wrong? Is this just what happens after all those years together? And here's the hard truth, one that no one talks about, especially for men our age. It's not because you've lost your hair or your youth. It's not because someone else is stealing her attention. It's because, little by little, you may have stopped showing up as the man she once connected with, the version of you that made her feel alive. Not the perfect man, not the loudest in the room, but the grounded, passionate, emotionally present man who once made her feel seen, chosen, safe, and desired. The good news: you don't have to reinvent yourself. You don't have to become anyone else. You simply have to come back to the man she fell for, the man you already are, deep down. Stick with me through this message, because the final habit I'll share is the one that almost cost me everything, and the one that helped me bring back that look in her eyes, the one I thought I'd lost forever. If any part of this speaks to you, leave a comment. I read every single one. And if you want more real advice on love, confidence, and emotional connection after 50, subscribe to this channel. This space is for you. Let's get into the first habit. And it's one that might surprise you. You try so hard to please her that you slowly forget who you are. Habit number 1. You always try to please her, but forget who you are. And maybe, without even realizing it, you've fallen into the first quiet trap. You've become the man who says yes to everything, who avoids arguments, who gives, and gives, hoping she'll feel loved, cared for, and safe. But here's the twist most men never see coming. The more you try to please her, the more invisible you become. Now that might sound unfair. After all, isn't love about sacrifice? About being kind, supportive, reliable, of course, but not at the cost of your own voice. See, as we age, and especially after 50, many men start to confuse love with self-erasure. You stop expressing your opinions. You stop pushing back. You stop saying no. You stop being the grounded, confident, masculine force she once respected, and instead you become agreeable, safe, predictable, soft. And she may still care about you, but that fire, that tension, that edge that made her feel drawn to you in the first place, it starts to fade. Women, especially strong, mature women, don't want a servant. They want a partner, a man with backbone, a man with edges, someone who listens with heart, yes, but who also says, "That's not okay with me." Someone who holds space for her and himself, because deep down, she doesn't want you to give everything up for her. She wants you to be rooted in yourself. That's what makes her feel safe and emotionally alive around you. So if you've been walking on eggshells, if you've been biting your tongue just to keep the peace, ask yourself, when did I stop showing up as me, and what would happen if you took even 10% of that people-pleasing energy and used it to stand tall again? Coming up next, the second habit is something most men are never taught. And yet, it's the fastest way to lose her emotional connection. Habit number 2, you don't know how to communicate emotionally with confidence. It's not your fault. Most of us, especially men raised in earlier generations, were never taught how to talk about feelings. We were taught how to fix things, solve problems, stay strong. We were told emotions were soft or worse and weak, so we learned to keep it surface level. Everything's fine, just tired. not much to say. And at first, maybe that was okay. But over time, silence becomes distance, and that emotional distance, that's what makes her feel like she's with a stranger. Because here's the truth, women fall in love through what they feel, not just through what they see or what you do. And I don't mean sweet talk, I mean emotional presence, the kind of presence where you're not afraid to say, lately I've been missing us, or even, I feel like we're not as close as we used to be. And that scares me. You might think she doesn't want to hear that, but you'd be surprised how many women are craving that level of honesty, especially after years of routine, or after kids are grown, or after life has worn down the intimacy. When you speak from your heart, with courage, it doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you more of one, because a man who can name what he feels and stay steady while doing it is a man she can trust, open up to, and feel deeply connected with. Think about it. You've probably spent decades protecting, providing, problem-solving. Now maybe it's time to start revealing, not every day, not in dramatic speeches, but in small, steady ways that say, I'm still here, and I still care. And once she feels that, she'll lean in again. In the next section, we'll talk about something even deeper, a habit that slowly drains your vitality, and that women feel even if they can't explain it. Habit number 3. You've stopped refreshing yourself. You might not notice it at first. Life settles in. Routines take over. The kids are grown, or the house is quieter. Maybe retirement is on the horizon, or you've already stepped into it. And one day, without realizing it, you stop reaching. You stop exploring. You stop doing things that make you feel alive. And that, my friend, is when something in her shifts too. Because women, especially women over 50 who've grown into their own sense of self, don't need a man who's flashy or fit like he was at 25. They're not looking for six-pack abs. They're looking for a spark, that spark inside you, the one that used to light up when you talked about your passions, the one that came alive when you were building something, learning something, dreaming of something. That's what she misses. You see, when you stop growing, you stop glowing, and she can feel that, even if she can't explain why her heart isn't drawn to you the same way. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you did something for you? Read a book that stirred something in you? Picked up an old hobby? Tried something new? Not to impress anyone, not to look productive, just because it made you feel like a man who's still becoming, not just existing, because when you come back to yourself, when you feed your own fire, she feels it. It's in the way you talk, the way you move, the way you look at life, and suddenly she looks at you differently too. Not because you've changed for her, but because you've reawakened the version of you that used to inspire her. Next, I'll tell you about a habit that ruins connection faster than anything. And most men think they're helping when they do it. Habit number 4, you always try to fix things, instead of just listening. Let's be honest, men are natural fixers. We're built to solve problems. It's how we show we care. If something's wrong, we want to jump in, offer a solution, make it better, quickly. But when it comes to your relationship, especially with a woman over 50, this instinct might be pushing her further away than you realize. Because what she truly wants isn't always a solution. It's to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel safe being vulnerable without being corrected. When she shares something that's bothering her, maybe about her day, her body, her past, or even about you, she's not always asking you to fix it. She's inviting you into her emotional world, and if your first response is to interrupt, defend, or offer advice, she may nod, but inside, she's slowly shutting down. Not because you were rude, but because you weren't present. So what does real presence look like? It's when you listen fully, not to solve, but to understand. It's when you lean in, gently, and say, "That sounds hard, tell me more." It's when you let her cry or vent without rushing her back to, "Okay." You don't have to be a therapist, you just have to be there, steady, open, curious. And when you do that, something beautiful happens. She softens, she trusts, She opens up in ways you haven't seen in years, because for her, emotional intimacy isn't built by fixing her problems. It's built by being beside her in them. And when she feels that closeness, the connection in every other part of your relationship, yes, even the physical, begins to light back. Now, in the next part, we're going to uncover the habit most men overlook entirely, and yet it's the secret ingredient that makes her feel loved, desired, and emotionally safe. Habit number 5, you forget to appreciate the small things. By now, you might be thinking, I show up. I help around the house. I don't cheat. I try to be kind. Doesn't that count? Yes, it does. But here's the truth that most men miss. Especially after years or even decades together, it's not the big gestures that make her feel loved. It's the small, simple moments, done with heart. You see, after 50, most women don't need diamonds or roses. They need to feel seen in the quiet moments. A glance across the room that says, I still see you. A soft hand on her back as you pass by. A whispered, you're still my favorite part of the day while brushing your teeth side by side. These things seem small, maybe even silly, but for her, they're everything, because those little gestures tell her, you matter. I'm still paying attention. I'm not just here, I'm with you. And over time, those small moments build emotional safety, and that emotional safety brings back warmth, attraction, and trust in ways no fancy dinner ever could. So, ask yourself, when was the last time you complimented her? Not on how she looks, but on who she is. When did you last say thank you for something ordinary she does every day? When did you last pull her into a slow hug? Not because you wanted anything, but because you just wanted her. Love, especially later in life, isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. It's about choosing each other again and again through the tiny acts of attention that say, I still care, I still choose you, I'm still in this. And if that sounds simple, it is, but it's also powerful, because for a woman who's wondering if the spark is gone, one small touch can become the match that reignites everything. Now, let me take you to the most important part of this journey. The moment everything began to shift in my own relationship. The secret, what made me attractive to her again. I'll be honest, there was a night I sat in the living room alone, lights low, her voice still echoing from earlier, tired, distant, distracted, and I thought to myself, where did we go? More importantly, where did I go? That question hit me hard, because I realized I had been trying so hard to be what I thought she wanted, that I lost touch with the man I used to be, the man she used to look at with pride, interest, even desire, and not because I had money or charm or a younger face, but because I had a fire inside. So I made a quiet promise to myself that night, not to win her back, not to prove anything, but to reconnect with me. I started waking up earlier, just to sit with coffee and read again. I called an old friend, someone who used to challenge me, laugh with me. I pulled out my old guitar, let my fingers stumble over the strings, just for the joy of learning. I went for walks with no destination, just to breathe and remember who I was before life got so predictable and something shifted, not just in me, in her. She began to watch me differently, ask me questions, laugh again, touch my shoulder on her way past, the way she used to, back when we couldn't keep our hands off each other, and it wasn't because I tried to impress her, it was because I found my center again. I stopped chasing love, and instead I became lovable again, by being whole. So if you've been wondering why she's cold, distracted, not herself anymore, ask gently, when did I stop being fully myself? You don't need to fix her. You don't need to beg her to come closer, just come home to you, because when you do, she'll notice, and maybe, just maybe, she'll follow you back. Don't wait until you lose her to realize you've lost yourself. First, if you've made it this far, then you already know. This wasn't just about 5 habits. It was about waking up to something deeper. About your relationship, yes. But even more than that, about you. Because love doesn't vanish overnight. It fades in quiet ways. In the small moments when we stop showing up as the man we once were. The man she admired, trusted, felt excited to be around. But here's the beautiful truth. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You don't need to chase youth or become someone new. You just need to come back to the man you've always been. When you're fully alive, fully you, a man with a voice, a man with presence, a man who still dreams, still listens, still lives with heart. So if any part of this message spoke to something in you, even just one line that made you pause, I invite you to take that seriously. This is your moment to shift, to reconnect, to rebuild something powerful, not just with her, but within yourself. And if you're ready for more real talk, honest insight and uplifting guidance on love, aging, and becoming your strongest self after 50, subscribe to this channel. Follow me here. Leave a comment below. I read everyone. This space is for you, for the men and women who still believe in deep love, strong connection, and living with purpose after 50. Let's keep growing. Let's keep loving. Let's keep showing up us and together, because the second half of life can be the most meaningful, powerful, connected part if you choose it to be.